Hello, I'm Eduardo Sandoval. I'm one of the mates coming from New Zealand. And today I will present the paper Stop, that is close enough, how body postures influence human-robot proximity. Okay, this thing is not working. Can you give me a hand with that? Okay, so apparently this thing doesn't like it or something like that. Yeah, here we are. Okay, the thing is, we have a lot of research in HHI about communication, and particularly we have a lot of research in non-verbal channels. And this research, for instance, investigates about intimacy, cultural backgrounds, and proxemics. Hal coins the term proxemics, and he determines the interpersonal distances. And obviously, he never was in the New York subway system in the rush hour, because the balance looks like a very, very interesting for me. And also, we have a lot of research in HRI about proxemics. For instance, Walters et al. Investigate the interpersonal social zones, and they discovered that people did not treat the robot as if it was a human. And also there is another research coming from my mate, Slokowski, about that people dislike frontal approaches coming from the robots. And other researchers indicate that people prefer front-left approaches of the robots. And there are more research about that, for instance, saying that users with experience with robots or pets live shorter distances between robots and humans. And there are another few studies, however, none of them consider the posture of both robots and humans in the interpersonal space. So we have a couple of insights that influence our studies. The first one is coming from Argyll and Dean. They propose an equilibrium model that describes if one of the components of intimacy is changed, one or more of the other will shift in the reverse direction in order to maintain equilibrium. For instance, if you increase the eye contact, usually you decrease the space, the interpersonal space with the other person, and vice versa. And the other insight is coming from the study proposed by Hartnett. He and his mates did a study using male and female participants. They approached to a tall or a short person. They have two conditions: sit down and stand up. And they stop approaching once that they feel uncomfortable. So essentially, we use these two ideas in our study, except the tall or short person, obviously. We use a short now robot. The results of this study say that the height of the subject, the posture, the gender, and have a significant impact in the interpersonal distance. Besides, subjects were perceived less straight in the sitting versus standing condition. So we have these ideas, and we run our study using the Now robot. So we investigate what was the impact of the posture of the robot and the posture of the human, and also the influence of factors such as participant gender and height of the participant. And also we did a couple of questionnaires about the attitude towards robots and the anthropomorphism tendency in the perception of the robots. We had three hypotheses. The first one, we consider that the personal comfort level is based on the distance between the robot and the person, and that depends on the posture of the robot, if it's sit down or stand up, or if the person is sit down or stand up. Our second hypothesis says that the resulting distance is dependent of the gender. Apparently, the literature review says that women allow shorter distance between them and the robots. And our third hypothesis says that people with a higher tendency to anthropomorphize not human agents, obviously all of them are not humans, will prefer a greater interaction distance between the robots than people with a low general tendency to anthropomorphize not human agents. So, this is our procedure. We have a 2x2 within subject study. We have two factors, the human role and the agent's role. In the human role, we have the active behavior, which is the human approaching to the robot, and the robot could be sit down or stand up, and the human approaching to the robot, the robot approaching to the human, and also the human change the position. So we measure some things like the negative attitudes towards robot scale, and we use also the scale for robot anxiety, and the individual difference in anthropomorphism using the IDAC questionnaire. So we have 22 participants, 8 of them were female. The average height was 1.75 meters. The average age was 28.6 years. And all of our participants were New Zealand born, because we can keep fix this factor about the cultural interpersonal distance. So our results show up that the robot posture has a significant effect. People live shorter distance in the condition A compared with the condition B in the active condition. Also, we know that the previous experience with robot matters. We know that a high score in the emotional subscale in the NARS questionnaire has certain impact in the distance between the robot and the person. And we already discovered that women leave less space between them and the robot. However, the sample was not enough big, so it's not statistically significant. And furthermore, in the passive role of the human, the standing human live longer distances between the participant and the robot. An interesting factor is, although we use the Latin square in order to organize the session with the robot, what happens is that consequent interactions make people more comfortable with the robots. So after several sessions, people start to reduce the distance between the robot and them. And the age and height were associated with shorter resulting distances. Apparently, older people allow every extra year that they have, they allow 0.6 centimeters closer to the robot. And every added centimeter in height added 0.6 centimeters shorter distance between them and the robot. In this image, we have the results of the NARS. A higher score in the interaction and the social subscale represents more negative attitudes towards the robot. What we can see also is that participants who have had previous experience with robots live shorter distances between them and the robot. And people who score higher in the emotional subscale in the NARS live also shorter distances, which is not shown in the image. Okay, the contributions of our paper is that distances were significantly impacted by the posture of the robot, but not by the posture of the human. And when the human is active and moving, they are in control of phases related to the closeness and boundaries, and females allow less distance independently of the head. However, we don't have enough evidence to support our hypothesis number 3 in terms of anthropomorphism. However, robots with emotional qualities, well, people who attribute emotional qualities to the robots allow them to be closer to them. And that have design implications. Robots need to be designed to know if the user is sitting or standing and allow for their social distance to be adapted accordingly. And also we need to investigate more about why females prefer robots closer to them. We don't know exactly why happened this thing. Apparently, literary reviews suggest that this childish appearance of the robot make feel comfortable of the people, plus the sit-down position make not really perception of the robot. Thanks so much. No, it was always a now robot, and always was the standard velocity of now robot, which is something like 56 centimeters per second or something like that. Yeah.
So as it should be